Our story begins with little Star. She is an 8-year-old Saberess. She has survived for 8 hours in the game up until this point. As you can see, I spot a horse and take fall damage. I also see this carcass here, so I trot over to heal. You don't have to lay down to heal in Brea. You heal at the same rate you normally do when just laying down. Even when trotting or crouching or anything else. But this carcass is rotted, so I have to go somewhere else. Currently, I am attempting to leave the plains. I want to go and establish a territory way more uphill in the map. There are plenty of wolves nearby. There was actually a huge pack in the red hex you can see on the minimap. So I investigate the howling and I see a pack of about 6 wolves. And then a horse runs by, so I decide to instead stalk it rather than the wolves. Once the rains roll in, especially the heavy rain that begins at the start of the new year, you cannot use your scent view. So I instead had to track this horse purely by visual signals. So I did that by marking it so I can track its white outline. Though I fail and have to drew something else. And I begin claiming territory as this is around where I was headed, but I spot this white wolf. I sit down to regenerate my stamina to full. And I sneak up to get the most value out of my initial sprint speed boost. When you're full stamina as a Sabertooth Cat, you are the fastest animal in the game, but only for a few seconds. The wolf was so stunned by my ambush that he didn't realize what was going on until it was too late. I land a lethal set of hits on him and he bleeds out mid-run. His body keeps me fed long enough for me to resume claiming land. Fun fact, you can maintain a hex just by being in it. Here I begin to stalk my prey. I'm trying to get the AI, and to do that, you need to play a game of red light, green light. And I do it while also claiming territory. As can be seen here, I use my initial speed boost to catch the prey. And that's basically how you hunt the AI. It is very easy to do it, and I do a lot of it to maintain my hunger bar within my own territory. See, I actually chose the order of 7 hexes specifically so because I can cut through the middle, and then from there I can easily mark the rest without having to waste too much stamina. And since I can automatically maintain the middle just by being in it, it can be very helpful to have a territory that is just this size. See the white text on the bottom? In the biggest servers, you'll get more tracks more frequently, but I don't have 7 hexes claimed. See, you get 1 track per each hex you have claimed, but I only have, and at the max maintainment level, like fully green outline. But I don't, so how do I get 7 tracks? Well, the answer is, this Sabertooth Cat has lived for 8 hours straight. All the time you spend surviving, it goes into a track multiplier. And that is why you should be trying your best to not die in this game. Especially if you want to get new skins fast. Territory grinding is the best way to do that because you'll be getting consistent results like me just by playing the game and having a big territory. I always play with my scent on for this precise reason. It's way more easier to track scent. Though ultimately I give this hunt up because it's both outside of my territory and also because another Sabertooth Cat was currently hunting it. Fortunately, my gamble did indeed pay off. I find a carcass on the border of my territory here. And I just scavenge. Another Sabertooth Cat had killed it, but I left the kill to rot. Once I finish eating, I grab a meat chunk to go into my territory so I can eat as I am marking. The method I use here after I pick up this fresh horn scent is nicknamed by the community as silent claiming. You can do it by clicking any of the other calls before marked territory, which prevents you from emitting a broadcast. Often when I do it, I am doing it on purpose to let whoever's listening know by a precise location, which is what they are going to get every single time you use that call. So it is better to use the quietest call, which is for both predators, which is the third call, whistle for dire wolf, and chuff for Sabertooth Cat, and then click mark territory. Tracking this herd led me out of my territory and into an enemy Sabertooth Cat's territory. Clearly a much bigger pride. I can hear them broadcasting. I know where they are. They are right next to the pool of water, or a bear, which should be just ahead of me and to my left. Seeing all of these scents, I also decide to lay down and regenerate my stamina to full before I do anything more. Both because I am wary of being attacked by those other Sabertooth Cats, and also because of their growling. The growl is a warning call in Ecos La Brea. If something is growling at you, it does not want to be your friend. And I'm not trying to get swarmed and die on this 8-hour Sabertooth Cat. Though, unfortunately for me, these were instead peccary scents and not horse scents. I tend to prefer hunting peccaries over wolves a good lot because unlike wolves, I can carry the bodies and peccaries have the same amount of food value. Right now the scent is very fresh, so in preparation for encountering the herd, I actually crouch and it works. I don't get immediately detected by the herd. And then I'm just circling around to try and get close on the upwind portion of the herd because that's the easiest to attack. approach the herd from, because the little red light, green light game gains less progress when you're upwind in comparison to downwind. But I had went the wrong way. I hear a horse very, very close to me, and I immediately switch targets. Now, I slowed the footage down so you can see how I try to go about matching the rings. When the first ring passes is when I try to get a good score in. And it works. I managed to get a good score, and the horse could not buck me off. Now see how I go about matching the rings? Even though I'm not hitting perfects, the bar at the bottom is what matters the most. It was mostly green, so I was winning. By the way, the longer the game goes on, the harder it is to score better, to buck the carnivore off. So if you are a herbivore, you should be focusing on getting a perfect as soon as possible. If he had, I wouldn't have been able to stay latched. Now, I had intended on completely taking this hex, but some of my own territory was being stolen, so I go to investigate the cause. Initially, I do try to silently claim. Well, I'm currently encounter claiming, and the territory stealer, Leona, has navigated to my centermost hex, and I can tell because it's draining faster than all the nearby hexes. Now I loudly broadcast, so Leona, if she hears this, she will know exactly where I am because I am looking for a fight. And she responds in kind, wandering over to my location. She sees me here and trots up over to me. And then we make contact. I'm going to slow down the footage here, but basically what's happening is that Leona is using the pounce attack while I am using the paw swipe attack. As you can see, the pounce attack has a much longer cooldown than the paw swipe attack, and it also does way less damage. It is only meant to be used currently in the game for grappling herbivores, but when you are fighting a carnivore player, it's important to only use the paw swipe attack. I break away to remark her, and then something special happens. At this precise moment, Leona had run out of stamina. This is something you never want to happen when you are a Sabertooth Cat. You become a sitting duck, and anything that is fighting you can just milk through your health pool. This results in Leona's death. But why did I have more stamina? Well, the answer was because I only jogged during the battle. I did occasionally sprint, but it was in minimal fashion, while she had been sprinting the entire time during our fight. It was this last bit of me retreating and her trying to keep up because she wanted me to die, where she had drained all of her stamina. After having run this territorial dispute, I was able to just peacefully resume marking my territory. Around here, as I'm reclaiming all of my hexes, I encounter wolf scent. And now I track it because I want to kill and eat the wolf. And I encounter them tracing down a pronghorn within my centermost hex also. And it's this umbral wolf who cat is it. I target him and creep forward, turning on my sprint, and then I rush in. 1. That's 4 hits on him. That's more than half his health bar. Now, a lot of things are going on here. Firstly, I was just jumped by both of his friends. The Umbral Wolf had a chance to escape and heal while I was fending off his friends. But later in the fight, he actually rejoins it for some reason. When you are low on health, stay out of the fight or else you're going to die. His Black Wolf friend makes this mistake as well, and he dies. You can note how I juked the wolves into going into hit range with me, and how they managed to stack the bleed. But these wolves are not pro. They are not pro because they drive their life away, just like that Black Wolf did. They are not pro because they did not know when to survive. But this White Wolf is a bit skilled, but I am better. It's okay to like leave the fight. And you don't need to hit trade with a Sabertooth Cat who isn't even low. The Umbral died of bleed for his dumb mistake of going in to fight me. And guess what? I get to live off of their corpses. Their attempt at killing me didn't even work. It's okay to retreat at times. Now what I'm doing here is I'm waiting for the bleed stacks to go away and for me to heal. This is because healing drains your hunger way quicker than just the natural hunger drain. So I wait until I'm all on full health and only then do I eat. By the way, you cannot heal until all of your bleed is gone, and you also do not take damage from bleed while laying down. While this other wolf had ran by, ultimately I did not track them down, instead eating my current kill and then taking a meat chunk and going to the water as I resume marking my territory. While doing this, I see another saber run by. I mark him, and since I'm at full stamina, I chase him as he tries to drink, and I growl in warning. Now see, he gets up and heeds this warning, now moving away from me and then going in a full sprint. However, I don't sprint after him, I only jog. And I only chase him for as long as I need to until I know he's fully out of my territory. After I leave, I caterwaul in victory, so that all other Sabertooth Cats know exactly where I am and that I am willing to defend my territory. I know for a fact he can also hear it, and that'll teach him to never come back. Afterwards, I resume marking my remaining hexes. After feeding from the pronghorn kill and marking my territory, I notice a herd of horses. Immediately when I see them, I go into a crouch. I mark one, but then something I didn't quite expect occurs. Another horse was sitting right there and watching, but fortunately I'm able to grab a horse anyway as the herd takes time to react to my attack. Notice how well I score on the rings and how the horse gets a perfect and the bar at the bottom suddenly turns very red. However, since I had better accuracy on the rings more consistently than the horse, I earned the kill. The herd does something unexpected in response though. They stick around after their member has died. Now this is a really bad idea, and they're putting way too much trust in me to not try and get another kill, even though I'm definitely capable after how well I outperformed the horse at the ring minigame. Fortunately for them, I leave and turn my attention elsewhere. After marking my territory, I encounter a horse herd again. However, I do not attack. I do still get full stamina when I see them, but I just run past as their herd migrates. I could have killed one of them, but the real reason I'm not is because killing more in one area makes the carcasses rot way quicker. And I'm trying to conserve the food because I plan to visit this carcass multiple times while I mark my territory. A majority of my time, when it's not hunting, is maintaining my territory. And as you can see here, it has reaped amazing results because I'm getting 9 tracks as all of my hexes are fully marked. Here, I'm all done marking my hexes, so I return to my kill. And when you leave a carcass alone for too long, a vulture will come and nibble on it, draining the food. This is why if you are in a pack, you should have someone stay near the carcass, as vultures only land when there is no one guarding the carcass. However, I actually managed to hunt this vulture, and you can just watch how. You saw that correctly. You can very easily kill vultures by running in and jumping. And they do not give very good. They don't really give any food, but neither do they give any tracks. So I wouldn't recommend hunting them. While claiming, I hear another Sabertooth Cat growl incredibly close by, so I drop down into a crouch in the hopes that if they're trying to take my territory and are growling at something, that they do not see me, because the growl is an aggressive call. It means you are trying to attack. Instead of finding the saber, I find a wolf, who then seem to run by into Sabertooth Cat's scent, which I promptly track to find out if they're leaving my territory or if I have to fight to keep them out. I do find out the source of all of this ruckus. The Sabertooth Cat was being harassed by a track farming pack. But it's outside of my territory, so I couldn't care less. By the way, you get more tracks if you farm alone, because when in a group, the tracks are divided between all of the members. Here I am again stalking a pronghorn. All you need to do is not move when the question mark appears over their head. I fail a few times, but I still do manage to catch this one. Around here, I spot a horse herd. And all I do is silent claim, and then go into a stalk. Before getting any closer, I get full stamina because I want to be able to use my ambush speed when I go in. I currently don't really have a kill I can scavenge off of, so this horse kill could be big when it comes to marking my territory. Just then, I run in and notice how I swerve to pounce exactly on the horse's head. This is because you need to latch onto the front of the body to get the ring minigame, and it'll only work on the left shoulder. If you listen closely here as well, you can see that the howling is coming from the direction of the track grinder pack. They've been lurking on my border for a good while now. After all of the marking, I return to just rest nearby the carcass, practice climbing some trees. There isn't many easily climbable trees in this environment yet, so if a wolf pack were to run in, I'd need to travel more downhill into the much easier to climb trees. But I do try anyway. Well, as you can see me climb this tree, I'll use this time to mention that you've likely noticed my hunger bar glowing a bright green. This is because that sitting around and lazing in your territory rather than running about all over the place causes your hunger bar to drain way slower. Herbivores get this effect when they drink at salt licks. You can find the salt licks at Tule Marsh. And I got hurt, so I go back to eat. And then I resume trying to wiggle up different trees. Now, this doesn't seem very important, but you absolutely should be practicing your tree wiggling skills because you never know when you need to run into a tree to save your life. And I will experience that later in the video, and if you hadn't already, like and subscribe if you want to see more of this content. Here, I take my time and slowly work my way further up into the tree. Mostly because I wanted a better vantage point. In case anything tried to come over, I'd be ready to immediately spot it. That's another pro to climbing these tall trees. Later, when I'm trying to get down, I use the pounce attack as it propels me forwards a tiny bit. If I had just jumped off, I would have probably taken damage. Later, I go to mark my territory, and I find wolf scent, though I also hear the rattlesnakes rattle. Rattlesnakes will only rattle when another player is nearby, and I spot the other player. It's a Sabertooth Cat, but when I get closer, I notice that he has a friend. They were out of my territory anyway, and attacking two Sabertooth Cats is usually not a very smart decision. I do stick around anyway, as I attempt to go and silent claim nearby. Though I do end up broadcasting, this is not a bad thing. I do want them to know that I'm nearby, and that I am the present territory owner. They did not come closer to me at all. short trip later, I spot a leopard horse. The first thing I do again is regenerate my stamina. Only then do I make the effort to creep closer and score a kill. Notice how I creep in? I actually cross the river. You're fully silent when crouching within water, by the way. And I go into the thicker foliage so I have an easier time approaching the horse. I sprint here, knowing it'd be risky to resume the hunt with so little cover. Notice how I run to the very front of the horse, and only then do I pounce. Notice how I also do not spam the rings. I try to get good score and onto the horse. If the ring game had lasted much longer, the horse would probably have won. Though fortunately, this is why I prefer to hunt horse over bison. Bison have a really long minigames and way more time to recover from ambushes. Unfortunately for me, the other horse had yet to rot, so this would be a wasteful kill. Don't overhunt, by the way. It'll actually make less herbivore players want to play as their favorite animal. When you die in this game, it is rather punishing. People don't like to die in this game. Even if they can act as though they have zero self-preservation, they really don't. Don't overkill, because they'll scare away all of the horse players that you love to hunt so much. Try not to do this to bison either. To sustain all of the territory grinding, I sit nearby the horse carcass to regenerate my stamina, and then I decide to just scavenge. This is what I've been doing, marking territory and scavenging. Not everyone may want to do this, but it is the best way in the game to gain tracks. And also the best way in the game to survive for a long period of time, which also helps in getting tracks. While I did find the trail of a wolf, it was long gone out of my territory, so I did not pursue it any further. Around this portion is when the track farming wolf pack finally goes in and intrudes on my land. I run in to maintain it, and I get to see the real scope of this pack. Look at how many wolves there are. I was incredibly lucky to not be swarmed and die. So I immediately sprint away afterwards because I do not want a piece of that mega pack. During this time, I also noticed that one was left behind, so I run in and attempt to kill it before its pack can come to save it. Unfortunately for me, this attempt failed. I try my best to kill the wolf before its pack can come and help it, but unfortunately I'm way too slow. Then I see a white wolf run in, and believing it's from the pack, I run the opposite direction and search for a tree that I can safely climb. I trot here so I have a more accurate chance of getting into the tree, and I wiggle up. Just then, the pack runs by, likely having heard my broadcast call. Fortunately, I'm safely tucked into a tree. One of them does notice, but the rest of the pack doesn't seem to care. Later on, I'm trying to take back my territory, and I hear the wolves twitter very, very close by, so I hide. But what would they be doing the aggressive call for? Well, I'm about to find out. In the meantime, I try to make it all the way back to my kill, but unfortunately it's rotting at this time. I had planned to just grab a meat chunk and dip, because there's no way I can fight that entire pack all by myself. From my vantage point, I can see the wolves running from place to place, and I get curious and I go to investigate. So, a wolf died. It turns out that the Mega Pack was fighting against a pack called Deadly Fangs. I'd seen them on the territory, trying to steal the other pack's territory, and it seems that's finally won out. So, they're fighting each other there, and I mark one to keep track of where the pack is moving. And then I just grab a meat chunk and get on my way. The red hexes belong to Deadly Fang. As you can see, they freshly claimed a hex much higher up as they fight with the track farming pack. It takes a good while for me to finally migrate to Tule Marsh. Here, I start claiming my land and exploring it. Just as I go to investigate what the vulture is circling, I begin to finally get up to claiming this land. Not too long later, I spot a herd of bison. Immediately, I hide behind a tree and crouch. Then I begin to slowly sneak over, though I pause for a bit as the herd makes its way across the water. Noticing that one was swimming to the other side, I do not cross as well, instead staying on this side and working my way towards the one that's crossing, as I can clearly see that it's a female. In this game, cow bison are way more easier to kill than bulls, and you can tell which one's a cow and which one's a bull because the bulls are shaped like Doritos. I maneuver through the thick bulrush as I slowly make my way closer to the herd. The thicker the foliage, the less likely I am to get spotted. But unfortunately, they do not stay around, and I attempt to keep up the best I can. Unfortunately for me, the white bison actually spots me, and immediately I just disengage from the hunt. Usually, after a bison in a herd spots you, the rest of them charge forwards in efforts to kill you. By the way, don't do that. You do less damage with your charge if the saber doesn't attack first. But so instead of pursuing the herd and risking getting killed, I just disengage and go to mark my territory. I know that I will be able to find the herd again. Having visual confirmation on where the herd is, I deem it fit to track them. Well, pursue them. I had marked one by this point. It's very easy to spot the all-white bison as well. I steadily creep forward, trying my best to shield myself behind the most foliage I can. You can clearly hear the bison is very, very, very close. And I spot them just then, steadily working my way over as I carefully choose which spots to crawl through that make me the least visible to my prey. My best shot is targeting a cow. I work my way forward and then I burst into a full sprint, pouncing onto the cow and trying my best to beat her at the ring game. Fortunately, she doesn't try all too much, but notice how I play, where I try to get as close to the center of the rings as possible. Never spam on these minigames or else you risk being bucked off. The herd comes to assist her, but they're all in spook mode. Even if she bucked me off, they won't help her. So instead, they cleverly use flee mode, and I get to reap the results of my fantastic kill. The white one stays, is still trying its hardest to bait me out from the bubble so it can kill me. However, I do not take the bait, and the bison leaves with its herd. After my meal, I go to claim more territory. Noticing this wolf, I sprint out at full stamina, and I attack him. He seemed to be on his way to my carcass, though fortunately he jukes me. It seems he'll be way more lucky than the last wolf, as just then, the rains of the new year wash down. I have successfully survived one whole year in Brea. Ultimately, despite my pursuit, I am unable to catch the wolf. I hadn't mortally wounded it, like I had the white wolf at the very beginning. Instead, I just rest and return to my kill. And that'd be the end. I've survived for 1 year in Brea. That's 2 whole hours of me playing the game. I did get a whole lot of benefit from it, and my Sabertooth Cat would now be around 9 years old. Here you can see my stats in the game. Now I hope this helps you respect my opinions a lot more, and I'd be happy if you learned something from this video.